Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Angular Air. I am so excited for our amazing guest today. But first, we have two panelists with us. We've got Mike Brocchi. Hi, Mike.
Hello.
And we also have Justin Schwartzenberger. Hey, Justin.
Hello. I tried to mimic Mike. I don't sound like Mike.
Fantastic.
I was like,
I feel mocked.
This is a thing today. Okay, we're going to make it a thing. Hello. Yeah. Our guest of honor is Anikta Sood. Hello, darling. How are you?
Hello.
Oh, that was a much better hello. I'll take that one.
Yeah. It's Friday. I feel like my hellos on Friday have an extra high tone element to
them. You're one of those people that knows the day of the week that we're on.
Only when it's Friday.
Okay, I got it.
Well, I start my Friday on Thursdays, actually, which are Friday Eves or Baby Fridays.
Okay, I'm going to use Baby Fridays. I love that. Friday Eve. Also, I am so glad you came on and agreed to spend an hour with us today. I am Alyssa Nicoll. If you haven't met me, hello, chat. I see you rolling in. And so me and Mike were actually at NGConf emceeing this year, and I saw Anikta, and I was like, ooh, like I made a note and like a little like emoji next to it to like have her come and present for us. So whenever she agreed, I was so thankful. So thank you, Anikta.
Was it a digital note with an actual emoji, or is this like handwritten where you drew one?
It was definitely digital. My handwritings are not legible, Mike. You know this. I like try to pass him notes so like the audience doesn't see and he like can't read them. He's like, sure.
This may or may not be a thing.
Yeah. Oh, so Anikta, tell us our topic for today. I'm so excited.
Well, yeah, I am so excited about this because we use progressive web apps at work, and I feel like it's not talked about enough, like Bruno. So I am happy to be doing that here. And it's exciting. It's just like Angular makes it so much more easier to have it, install it, set it up, etc., etc. So
yeah. Have you actually done a PWA without Angular? I haven't. I've only done them with Angular.
You know what? I haven't either.
Have Mike or Justin, have you? No? Justin? I'm like, what does it even take? Like, what do you even?
Yeah, well, all it takes is adding 2 files, but because we have schematics in Angular, I feel like, why would I do it manually? That's what you have to do for any other app or website. You have to add, basically, you have to add, and we'll talk about all of those things.
Excellent. Oh, and I forgot. Can you introduce yourself for those who are new to the Angular community?
Maybe I guess that would be helpful. Well, hello. I am Anikta. I currently live in Austin, Texas. And what else should I say?
We were on your podcast recently.
Yeah, we did a crossover. Oh yeah, I guess I could say all the other things I do. I'm an Angular GDE. And I am also a co-host of the Angular Plus show. Yeah. And my day job, I am a senior principal engineer with Dell SecureWorks. And maybe, actually I had all of this on a slide. That's why I'm a bit flustered.
Oh, hey, I ruined it for you. Okay, I put the slides up so you can.
Yeah, no. Well, this was my pretty slide introducing myself.
Excellent. Okay, that was on me. That's on me, Coach.
Yeah. Do you like how I have both the bird and the X for the Twitter emoji?
We were just talking about this, and apparently not everyone's on board with calling it a zitter. So what are we calling it now?
I thought it was Twitter. I thought it was Twitter tweeting an X, but hey, I make it.
It's trying to be an X, but I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, we've got a comment in the chat. They're saying that they're currently working on their first Angular PWA project.
Oh, that's so exciting. Okay. Welcome. Oops. I don't mean mean to shake my mic, but welcome. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, so this is me, basically. And well, I kind of wanted to talk about, before we get into Angular progressive web apps, just, apps in general. And basically, if you're doing website development or web application development, like you can have a website that's just basic information, and that's basically the difference between a website and a web app. Like website is not as interactive as a web app might be. It's more for information, and it's more static. Like, you can have bare minimum interaction, like you can toggle theme and language preferences, etc. But whether you're building a website or a web application, it really doesn't matter, because you can convert all of that into a progressive web app. And it's super easy. And but why would you want to do that if you already have a website or a web app, whatever you want to call it? Why would you want to do that? It's basically because software distribution is a hard problem to solve for. Like over here, you can see for Figma and Nero, which I think are tools pretty familiar, the developers are usually familiar with, but these are just tools that you can install. And just look at all the links that they have here. They have so many options because they want to be able to help customers or their users install the app based on their OS or their browser, etc. I mean, for me, that feels like a bit too much. Like they're trying to over-engineer an easy problem, because guess what? They just want to use the app. Should they have to think, like, what am I on? Am I on Mac OS with the Apple chip or with the
I still don't know. I
Yes.
honestly, I've been doing a lot of .NET stuff, and it requires you to know. And I kind of just download all of it and see what works.
Yes,
too hard.
yes. Like, why should I, the end user, have to think before
know.
using your app? And the more number of steps that someone has to do to be able to get to what they want to do, the more icky they're gonna feel about it and not want to do it. So yeah, it's basically a hard problem to solve sometimes. But when you have a progressive web app, it kind of makes it easier. And again, like web, like we're all on web right now, right? Whether you're viewing this on an app, on a YouTube app, or on a YouTube website, we're basically, all of us are hanging out on web right now. So web has a wider reach, but native apps tend to have more capabilities. So you want to meet the customer where they're at. You don't want them to like have to look up, for example, what OS they're using, etc. But you want to, get to them, and progressive web apps make it easier. Another thing is, and I am in this category, I do not want to download an app for everything. I don't have a LinkedIn app or Twitter app. Like, I don't want so many things, because then I have to like keep scrolling. Like, which one are you? They all look the same. They're all the same colors eventually. And it's really hard to find the app sometimes and remember to update it and all of those things. So again, Google's philosophy, one of Google's philosophies, focus on the user and all else will follow. And I think that is such a simple and beautiful philosophy, that if they give the users what they want instead of trying to force your solution on them. So there are tons of apps here that had a website and a mobile app, and yet they decided to launch a progressive web app. And if you go to this website, whose screenshot I have over here, PWAstats.com, you can see there's tons of data for all these companies who have chosen to build and launch a PWA in spite of having a regular app. And all the performance increases, their user engagements or conversion rates, whatever stats you want to focus on from a business perspective. They have seen higher engagements, user engagements, and stuff like that, and reported that. So there's got to be some advantage there, like some weight about why you would want to have a progressive web app. So I feel like I've sold that enough. Like it kind of makes your website or web app like fast, installable, reliable, engaging, which is basically what the user wants. It's progressive app. I kind of made the joke at NGConf that the existence of progressive web app to me implies the existence of conservative web app. Doesn't exist.
Does it not? Does it?
It does not exist, but maybe it's waiting for the right browser to come along.
It's good. It's very good.
So yeah, anyways, like if you're anything like me or like any human being on this planet, maybe you end up having so many tabs open that it can then gets overwhelming. And I know like now browsers are so smart with their tabs solutions that they provide. You can have directories of tabs and color code them and blah blah blah, but again that itself indicates that there is a problem, that you can have plethora of tabs open and they all look the same and you all get lost in it. And then when you're trying to focus on it, like I was trying to read an article and then I ended up opening so many links within it, and it's so easy to get lost in it. So as an enterprise app developer, you must be wondering, how does this apply to me? Like it's maybe not my problem. Because, I have a very professional looking app that loads on the browser and the user knows how to use it. But maybe, think about it, they might prefer a desktop app that, again, if you have to build a desktop app, that's another story. But if you convert it into a progressive web app, they can just instantly open it from like any other app on their desktop. So progressive web apps, you might be thinking like, oh, it'll be easier to have it on their device, which could be any device. So for example, I mentioned I work for Dell SecureWorks, which is a cybersecurity, we like to call it a kick SaaS app. So it's a cybersecurity enterprise app, which is a kick SaaS. It's a SaaS app for other companies. And so most of our users are cybersecurity analysts who have big monitors. And when we launched our app and we launched it as a progressive web app, we noticed that there are about 38% desktop sessions, and we didn't even market it. Like we didn't even have any download instructions or anything. But when our customers noticed that actually it's also a progressive web app, they chose to use it as an installed app on their device instead of a browser tab. And I think it has something to do with this. When you have a plethora of tabs open and you're trying to just work and you get lost in a sea of tabs, I think it's that. At least that's why I prefer having apps and not tabs. But
do you have if you have the option, you'll have the app downloaded?
If I have the option of, if I want to do something that requires not just like, this is a very Austin downtown specific problem, but one of the parking garages here requires you to have a smartphone, B, an app that you have to install to be able to use the parking garage. If I don't have my phone on me, I can't park it. So like I don't like don't force one solution on me. Give me the choice to use your app or your product the way I want to. I think that's my thinking behind it. So for some things, like I mentioned, like I don't like having too many apps forced on me for something that I might just use once in a while or once in a day. Like I'll remember sometimes I'm not super active on social media. So sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, let me scroll because why not? And so I'll go on the browser and scroll through LinkedIn or something. But I don't want to have the app because then it's just staring at my face all the time when I'm using my phone. But for when I want to be more productive about some things, I mean, I'm sure all of us have Spotify as an app and not don't use it on the browser, you know? Like for some things, I would prefer the app versus depends on what my focus is going to be for that task. And so for work related stuff, I prefer having apps so that I can see which of my apps are open because those are easier to see versus which of my tabs are open because those are not easier to like recognize cognitive load and all of that. But yeah, so one of the things that I mentioned about native apps is that they tend to have more features, but that's actually no longer the case. We have so many web APIs. These are just some of them. And then you can just integrate a web API into your app. So if you want the badge that shows the count, you can use the badging API. Or if you want to have push notifications, like how apps generally do to have more user engagement, you can use the push API or notification triggers API. And if the user has the PWA installed, it'll basically interact. Those notifications basically look exactly like how they would if it was a native app. So I think you get a lot more for minimal effort in terms of user engagement or like all these other features. Like it looks like an app and it has all these other browser APIs like caching and you can have your predefined prefetch strategies. And they also work offline. So sometimes you might just want to save a note, like for our app, if they are our cybersecurity analysts just want to save notes about some cyber alert that they're investigating while they're riding a metro and have spotty network, they can still do that. And then it syncs back up when they're online. So, and then because it's still just one app, you're not developing a native app and a website. You will have consistent UX. You won't have two repos, twice the code, etc. And it's installable. I'm sure anyone who's ever done app development knows how not easy it is to push for your app through the app stores. You have to wait even to release a new version. And you have to, again, redirect your user to the app store to then be able to install it. Whereas,
and sometimes they say no because like copyright infringement, other reasons.
Yeah, you kind of have to. You did all this work, and then you're at their mercy.
My husband used to deploy a lot to iOS, and he said that his work would, if they got rejected one day because of XYZ, whatever, they would just resubmit it, and they'd usually get a different employee the next day, and it would go through.
Oh no!
And I'm like, what? So it does. You really are at the mercy of how strict that person is going to be on that day about whatever the thing is. What were you going to say, Justin? Sorry.
Yeah, that whole being free of that gatekeeping of the app stores, I think, is the biggest benefit from an enterprise level for PWAs, right? Because it's not only the ability to deliver updates to your app without having, some third-party certification to let it get through, like the app stores, right? But it's also things like selling to your customers, right? When you go through those app stores, you have there's requirements around, like if you do a subscription service, right? you can only sell subscription services through that app. You can't link out to other places, right? In the PWA, you're just living in the web world, right? And so all that freedom that you have, you can totally control your business model and your business delivery, and still have that feel of a native app, right? So I think that's huge from a business standpoint of unlocking that, dependency and linkage to a third-party app store.
Absolutely, yeah. And yeah, I mean, I definitely think the benefits are endless, and unless there's a real actual need for you to have a native app, I think it's so much more easier to have a progressive web app and have more power over when you release, because even for updates have to be approved, and whereas for a progressive web app you can just push it.
It also shrinks the development needs and skill sets across your development teams, that you don't need to have people that know Java, people that know Swift, or whatever the Objective-C or whatever bracket filled language you have.
And correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but like, even if you don't download the PWA, you still get the benefits of like the caching strategy and things like when you're just using it on the web, right? Like it's still
because you would be using all of these web APIs. So instead of browser cache, you would use the caching API, the web caching API, which is more
because for me it was a huge notice, because you were talking about how like occasionally I don't know if you were saying it was your team or another team would like have network issues at work, and so then they would have like the caching was super valuable. But for me, when I lived in Grove a couple of years back, I just could not get good internet, and a lot of times it was like it was so bad that if it wasn't a PWA, oftentimes I couldn't use the site like on my day because it wouldn't load for me, or I'd have to go get coffee and then forget it was loading. So so that's, I think even if you don't use for all of these other benefits, just that basic reason of like a behind the scenes boost for your users, like that they don't pay for in any way, right? Like it's just there. So.
They don't have to search for it. Another thing that like I get distracted so easily. I'll open the app store and be like, oh yeah, let me see, like let me download this app. But I'll open the app store and obviously they'll have, oh, these are the top 10 apps that users are installing, and I'll have FOMO. Like, what are all these things? I don't know of any of these apps.
Oh no, it's so bad. I have little notes on my desk of like, you were in this tab doing this task, because I get pulled to another tab and I'm like, oh no. So no, it's bad. I'm feel you on that. So
I know. And then you know how you can have two profiles in Chrome, and you can have your work and personal profile, and then you'll be trying to open your work link from your personal profile and it won't work, and you're like, why? And like, oh, okay. It's so bad. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure everyone has their sob story about how hard it can be if you just live in a browser. So like you with progressive web app, you're on the web, but you're not restricted by your OS, or because sometimes there are a lot of apps that would only be that'll be iOS only initially and not available for Play Store to download. And
I always thought it was the other way, because it's so much easier in my mind to like
get approvals
to the Play Store, or even just develop from my experience. But maybe I'm wrong. Like, is it usually the other way, like where Apple gets it first?
I think it depends on, like, I know some what was the last, I'm blanking out on it, but I remember there was something that my Android friends couldn't use, and it's like, it's fine. But and then like sometimes it'll be differences. Like Snapchat would push some update on Android first and not on iOS, and my friends would have some features like, I don't know how you're doing this, but it looks cool, must be nice to have that. I'll just wait till it's available for me to use. So But yeah, so coming to what it takes once you have, these are the two files basically, the manifest.web manifest. And for an Angular project, it will be NGSW worker JSON. But otherwise, it's just the service worker JSON file. So if you're not on an Angular app, you will kind of add these manually. But Angular makes it easy, like I said. And so you just run the schematic, whether to an old or existing or a new project. You just add Angular /PWA, and you build the app. And then if you can do localhost, but it won't load like an app. If you want to actually see how it would load like an app, then you kind of run the server. And so you this slash where the build is, since you've built it, you open that build on your local server. And
that's like an extra download, right? Like it's not the HTTP server. I don't think it was on my machine when I did this last.
Yeah,
I had to like go get it.
Yeah, you'll have to.
I wanted to make sure I was thinking of the right server.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah, that one you'll have to you install it globally or any other way. I think there's several other ways that you can run a server locally, basically. But HTTP server is kind of the easiest to run it, and so that's how you do it. Maybe that's on the next slide, but here's what the thing is though. Like if Angular makes it so much more easier, and Angular comes with all of its own powers, right? Like you can with signals and all the other focus on performance, your Angular app is performant enough. But then you build a PWA with Angular, and that's even so much more powerful. But then you use the power of Angular to make your PWA even more powerful. So it's like you keep stacking your wins on top of each other.
Mm.
And one example that I have is with deferrable views. I'm sure it's been talked about in depth so much. That makes lazy loading so much more easier. But if someone's not familiar with it, basically since V17, we have the option to create distinct code chunks in our template. And instead of earlier, before V17, the only way we could lazy load was to either have it lazily loaded in a route or do this very complicated thing with view
container
refs. Yeah.
Wait, okay, so I never did that. Mike, did you do that? Because the route way was the only way I like lazy loaded.
Yeah, the way container ref, like I had to look at documentation and like, what? And like type one sentence, you're like, what? It was so confusing.
Yeah, there was another level in between doing all the view container ref and defer, and that was with standalone. You could easily or more easily dynamically render components that are standalone because they have all their dependencies. They can be brought in independently. But defer.
Can people still use view container ref to do that way?
I mean, you could.
I mean, people still use Angular 9, so you know. I'm sure.
Right. You're with. Okay, yeah.
I've been hands off, but I think you still need view container ref to be able to render the dynamically loaded component. But I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, you could still use it. It's just so much more complicated. Even I've seen it.
Have you seen all of the what is called? Is it triggers? It's called like for the onloading strategies of like on viewport.
Yeah,
on timer.
yeah.
There's like so many cool ones, and I swear there weren't that many cool ones whenever it was like first released. Like,
yeah. You can set whatever condition you want. I don't know if I have a screenshot. No, I don't have those listed here. But
there's so many. I was looking at it the other day. I was like, I think they're sneakily adding to this list.
That list was pretty comprehensive at launch.
Was it, Mike? I'm like, holy crap! You can do so much with defer because I just did it in my app yesterday, and I was like, oh yeah, on viewport. And then I was like, what else can you do? What are the other triggers? And I was like, oh my god, it keeps going.
Yeah. I like that you can define your own condition also, and you're not restricted by a timer and all the other triggers that they have. But yeah, it makes it so much more easy to defer. I'm looking at the triggers now because I really wanted you on idle, on viewport, on interaction, on hover, on immediate, on timer.
Is idle default? Like if you just throw in a defer, you don't specify anything.
No, like you can define like how long do you want to be idle.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So also like interaction and hover kind of seem like, aren't you interacting when you're hovering? But no. It's for a click or a key down event. So you gotta remember that. You can just hover and call that interaction.
I guess hovering doesn't count as an interaction, right? Because like you can
hovering's on the desktop, right? I mean, if you're on a mobile device, there's no real hover right now. Maybe there is. I don't know. Maybe there's like your close proximity finger. You know, I don't know.
Maybe they're tracking your eyes. It's like where your eyes are hovering. Like,
and then I think like tabs. You know, like if you're tabbing through like accessibility and stuff like that, probably there's a difference there between like are you actually hovering versus just tabbing through.
Yeah.
Oh right. Yeah. Yes, you're right. Yep. Okay.
It would be cool if they had gestures at some point, you know, to support more.
Yeah,
I think that would be on my
that'd be
list.
sick. Yes.
One of the Pixels had something like that. If you look up Project Soli, SOLI, there was a sensor in the Android phones that would do that.
Are you a Pixel owner, Mike?
I am.
I have to I recently had to have permission security stuff to have work apps. So I was looking at other phones, and I've always been an iPhone girly, but I was actually thinking about getting a Pixel. So I'm like, oh, I might talk to you off air about.
Let me know.
Yes. We've also had a lot of people in the chat say hello, Anikta. So I just want to shout them out. Chow said hi, Wilmer, Yanni Klaus, and Danny. So Jan said that Soli was super underrated. Oh, he knows about these things. Okay.
It was also kind of flaky, so it would work at times. And there were times. But like if you're doing something with your hands, like in the kitchen or something, you could swipe over the phone without touching it to switch to the next track or in audio or something.
So it used the camera, I guess. Yes?
No, it was a separate sensor.
Like an infrared type thing?
I don't know the exact technology.
How could you not know the exact technology and how it was implemented behind the scenes? I don't understand.
And how many developers were on the team.
and what their push strategy was, right? Like
because of a concept called encapsulation. All that logic was encapsulated away from me and I didn't care about it.
Do you know how much it brings me joy to talk about normal life things in Angular terms? I try to do this all the time with my other friends and they don't know what I'm saying.
They don't get it.
Sorry guys, we're here. We're back. Oh, Jan said the face recognition also worked much better as the sensor started the camera when you were about to pick up the phone. Oh. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have an unrecognizable face by sensors everywhere, so I just don't get to use that technology.
Yeah, I feel like face recognition is overrated.
I think it depends on your face because I know people. I'm not kidding. Like I know people.
I go full disguise. I got hat, sunglasses, fake everything, and the thing still unlocks my phone. I'm like,
it knows.
I don't
it
trust
knows
you.
it's
I don't
freaking
like this,
you.
right?
Yeah.
I would be yawning, and I'm like, no, it's not you.
All right, my tangent for recognition and being able to authenticate the phones is that they need to bring the back fingerprint sensor back.
Yes,
the in-screen, no, it's not cutting it. The tactile back fingerprint sensor. Reach in your pocket or your purse or your bag or whatever, your finger naturally goes there. Unlock it, and it's already unlocked by the time you have it up to look at.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's what I want too. Like, why can't we have nice things? Why can't I be brushing my teeth and trying to unlock my phone? Doesn't work.
No, I can literally have my eyes too closed, right? No glasses, no makeup. Like, I can just have my eyes a little bit too closed, and it's like, no. I'm sorry. Who are you?
It's like,
I'm like,
you. Yeah.
I really want that level of security. I do not have that.
You want that level of security?
Yeah, dude. I put like a flower in front of mine and it's like, oh, hey, Justin, what's going on? Like,
I literally just like, it drives my husband crazy because it's so unreliable. I'm like, is it worth having a lock on your phone? And he's like, yes.
Yeah.
No, but no, I love. Thank you again that we can talk about life in Angular terms because it means a lot to me, you guys.
I know whenever I try to make, oh, let's defer this subject, no one gets that joke.
No one gets it. Oh.
Oh, it's nice to be hanging out with nerds that are on the same level.
So, do you have any PDA or not PDA? That's
PWA.
that's way different. PWAs that you use a lot on your phone versus on your desktop, or vice versa?
Yeah, I mean, I think I prefer using Spotify's PWA than even Outlook. Even Outlook's PWA, I think, is better than their app.
I was using the Starbucks one a lot.
Yes, that one's
That
also
one was pretty good.
faster, way faster than their actual app.
I'm now stuck with the like Outlook, Teams, all of that PWA on my phone because of it's like the only way I'm allowed to use it. So,
Use it.
yeah, like whatever. it
I
loads.
definitely think it's more performant than their actual app. That it kind of loads forever.
Does Slack have a PWA?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't think they do. Maybe they do.
I think Slack
I just feel like the
technically is a
Slack app is
PWA.
like so snappy. Like I can't imagine it being better. But do you have problems with Slack? Is it?
Yeah, because you don't have to install it.
Oh,
That's better. Remember? Rewind to the
yeah.
beginning of the talk
It
today.
It doesn't look like Slack has a PWA.
Oh.
Yeah.
The one I have a PWA. Yeah.
Palm OS. Oh my God.
Yeah, I have a PWA that I use that I know the three of you do not.
What?
Because the three of you all use iPhone, but the Messages web app for Android is a PWA. So it's akin to iMessage on your Mac, but it's a PWA.
And it's a PWA? It's not like a built-in piece of the...
Yeah, because it works on all different operating systems.
Mike, don't judge. I have a Windows phone.
Oh my God, can we see it? Can you show it to me? I don't even... What does it look like? Is it beautiful?
I had pre-Windows 8 Windows Phone, and I had a post-Windows 8 Windows Phone.
Are they
tiles?
Are they like this?
Tiles.
Does it do this?
I like that interface. It was clean.
Yeah.
Does
But
it
it had no
flip
support.
Justin, and have like a screen on the outside and the inside? Is that what a Windows Phone looks like? No.
No, it was
No, back in the day, it was
ran
just a
Windows.
regular phone that was Windows OS.
Oh, yeah.
And it was rugged because like a lot of them were made by Nokia.
Yes. It was like a brick. I remember that.
It was like a brick. It weighed like a brick.
Yeah.
Yeah, my first Nokia phone, I was like, this is also my safety device. If someone tries to come at me, I can just throw at them.
But honestly, that's my go-to. Like if I'm threatened, chuck your phone at their face. Again, Zach says it's a bad move, but I feel like it's a
what
good
if you
weapon.
miss? Another episode.
And you can't call for help.
I'm actually I want to scan your
Hold
QR
on a
code.
second. Let me go grab my phone.
I know. That's exactly the problem, Mike. If you want to call for help, either your Nokia or whatever phone you just checked at them is now. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. I just pulled up your app.
Oh yeah, that's a Pokemon app. My friend Kyler was working on it. He's my coworker, Kyler Johnson. He was just wanting to have, because there's so many Pokemons, y'all.
Yes.
He just wanted to be able to look them up. And so he was building this app and it's like, I could make this a PWA. Then people can install it on their phones. So
Is it an Angular PWA?
it is an Angular PWA.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I think I have the GitHub repo too somewhere. Oh, maybe I don't. Oops. Maybe I don't. But yeah, this is what it'll look like I'll share the GitHub repo with you. But if you open it on your desktop browser, you'll basically, in your Chrome, you'll see, that's how you basically know if something's a PW or not. If they don't have an install prompt by default show up, usually if you look at their browser, you'll have this download kind of an option that lets you install it. And that's all you have to do to install a PWA. It's that simple. You just click that button and then it's installed as an app. And these are screenshots from whether you're an Android and an iOS, because obviously there has to be a difference. iOS doesn't let you show the prompt, or at least I wasn't able to figure out how to show the prompt. So I had to just give instructions that if you go to the up arrow thingy in your browser.
Is it the share button?
Yeah, the
I don't
share
know what
button.
it's called. Yes.
It does everything basically, because you click on it and you can also find in page or create a QR code or send it on Slack. So or
this is actually extremely helpful, because I was like, where on earth is the add to home screen button? I could not find it. So thank you.
Yeah, so it's on their everything but the bagel button. You just add it to home screen. Or if you open that on Android, then you can just, the first time you open it, you'll see that install option for this app. And oh yeah, maybe I can actually show that. One thing that you will notice right away if I switch to the smaller screen size version, basically, is that over here I have these, let me clear that. I have these previous next buttons, like so, like how generally you would want them to be in a mobile device, versus I have like actual text buttons for previous and next here. So, and there can be like small differences that you might want to have in your app based on what your users' viewport sizes, or based on whatever you want to base it on, device type, viewport size, or some differences based on the screen size. I prefer to differ it based on viewport, because if someone's on a large monitor but wants to have like a small window open on the side, it should still be responsive. I mean, if you're not doing responsive design in 2024, I don't know what to tell you at this point. But that's this is basically the app that you can search for a Pokemon, and you can look at what they're good against, bad against, etc. Actually, another thing that will tell you that this is a PWA is that you will see the service worker over here, and you can see that it's activated and running, and you can really configure it to have it so that you can specify what should be pre-fetched versus lazily fetched. There are all these what should be cached versus not. You can specify in this service worker file. You can really specify all of that super easily. And yeah, there's are all these, like I said, notifications API, background sync, all these web APIs, push messaging that you can configure with your PWA app to have native app capabilities in spite of it not being a native app. So this is the app. So if you feel like, okay, but I'm using one code, like one repo for different screen sizes, or one repo to serve both my clients who typically use it on a desktop versus typically use it on a phone, it might feel like the bundle size would be huge. It might feel like, oh no, it's going to get bloated or something, right? But that's where the power of Angler comes in that I was talking about, that you can, using conditional and defer, like you can have a check, like if it's small screen size, say you want to show a, a data, like an data extent intensive grid, a table for larger screens. So if it's not a small screen size, you defer load the grid component. Else, for small screen size, you do just have cards load. And so you can combine the power of Angler and PWA and then all the features and still be able to lazy load it, so that if someone's just viewing it on a small screen, only the responsive card component would load and not the other one. So that's what I'm kind of doing here too with these previous next. Like, it's a small example, but the point of it is to understand that you are able to do it, that you can have this component loaded for your screen size and then conditionally render the smaller one when your screen size changes. But yeah, basically what you'll have to do, and let me start the slideshow again, to convert your app is like run the schematic, and splash images are I kind of was playing around with it, but it'll show when you install the app, you know how the first of all the logo that shows up on your home screen, and then first splash, and that's more prominent in an Android than in an iOS, because I was playing with both devices while working on this, that for a split second you'll see an image and then the app loads on an Android. So that's the splash image. So you add all these appropriate images, because when you run the Angler schematic, by default it adds the Angler favicon and Angler logos. And then you can also configure based on for what, like different devices tend to have different size icons that they would display. Some Android phones, and again, because there are so many Androids, some Androids have like circular icons for their apps, and some have squares, perfect ones. So you kind of have to specify 52, 32, and once you run the schematic, it'll pre-populate that. You just have to update the images that will get added there, and add some responsive CSS if you haven't already. And then you get to use all the numerous web APIs that you have, and then you have made yourself a perfectly wonderful progressive web app. And that is mostly what I had to talk about. And I also have all these links if someone wants to deep dive their knowledge. I know Mark Thompson, Texan on Twitter, he did a talk about crafting bespoke PWA experiences with Angular. That one was the online version, so his was an online. He actually wrapped the entire talk, like not the entire. 90% of his talk is in the form of a wrap. So
how long was it? How long was the talk?
I think 15-ish minutes.
He rapped 15 minutes.
Yeah, but there were like 4 or 5 rap songs in it that
talked
about PWAs, and I found that highly entertaining.
Oh my gosh.
I really liked that talk. And he talks a little more about like caching strategies and all of that. I mean, I don't think they're too complicated to understand if you just look at. It's so like the name tells you what you're supposed to do, right? So you just, I think when you run the schematic and the file is generated, you can just look at it and be like, oh, okay, I want my images to be cached, or maybe I don't want it to be cached, and you just enter the images URL, your full images folder URL at the right places, and it'll be cached or not. So that is that.
I loved it. I thought it was beautiful. Also, these links aren't clickable. How do we share them? I was just reading. I can't click on them.
Oh, I guess because I'm copy link address.
Excellent. I shall Ankita, can you throw them to me somehow after this? And
Yeah.
I'll put them in the description of the YouTube video, so you can go.
I
and click on
will
it.
throw all of these right now.
Excellent. Because I was just like, wait a minute, how do I? Thank you so much. I loved that. Let me see. And if we have any questions in the chat, you are getting some more love. I don't know if this is Tay or T, maybe. They're saying hello to you. And I have a Tay in my life, so I was going to go with Tay, but maybe that's not. You can correct me. But yeah, let us know if you have any questions. Lots of hellos and love, though, for you in the chat. Sweet.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So we generally wrap after each show with doing either a technical or a non-technical pick, something from this week that made your life better or something you want to give a shout out. Maybe there's an upcoming event. So I'll start with the guys to give you some time to ponder your pick. But yeah, Mike or Justin, do either of you have anything you want to shout out this week?
I don't have anything.
Nothing at all?
I don't have anything. No.
Is this your pondering face, Mike? Are you pondering? What is this? I don't know if he can hear me. Mike, are
I
you
was
there?
muted. I'm sorry. I'm here.
Oh, you were muted. Okay.
Yeah, there is something that is, I believe it showed up in Node 20, and I got to use it recently, called Single Executable Applications for Node. That you can take your Node application and run it in places that don't have Node or have an older version of Node. It basically takes your Node application and bundles Node with it so that you have a Node application that can be run anywhere.
Oh, that's
very cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Danny was asking,
I'm searching for a link.
Justin, this. Did you see this, Justin? Any recommendations for Windows phones, maybe?
Oh, I'd have to remember.
Oh, man.
I'm trying to remember the one where you could, maybe Mike will remember, somebody will remember, where you could check in at places. You'd go to like places and you'd check in. And then everyone would like.
That wasn't just Windows, right?
No, it wasn't. But like during the Windows Phone era, it was like, I feel like it was like one of those.
Foursquare? Are you not talking about Foursquare?
I think that might be it. Yeah,
I remember this, and it
yeah,
I feel like
it
was one of the earlier ones that showed up on the Windows Phone. I had a Windows Phone at the time, so I'm like, oh, I can use this one or something. I don't know.
I actually had a use case for a user group that I wrote an application because I was like, hey, I know .NET. I have a Windows Phone. This will be helpful. So I wrote an app to show upcoming user group meetups for the .NET user group.
What is it? WPF?
I believe it was. And I was not very good with WPF. But I was able to get it to work. And it was serviceable.
Thank you for throwing that in the chat, Mike. There's
the link
to the Node single executable applications. Excellent. Ankita, do you have any picks for this week? Anything you want to highlight?
Well, I'm definitely the kind of person who will get back to you in 24 hours with some excellent picks, but when put on spot, we'll try.
I love it. I love that you know that about yourself. Yes. And I will throw it. Everyone, look in the chat or in the description for her pick. It will be there along with the link.
Yeah, but I mean, on top of my mind, I'm I love the. Like, I don't like the default terminal, and I've been using WARP. I think that's how you pronounce it, WARP.
You like it? It's good stuff?
Yeah, it's good stuff. You can, now they have it that you can type English and it will know which command you want to type, which sometimes I forget. Is it make dir? Or is it to make a new directory?
Yeah, so yeah. Absolutely. The MKDIR, yeah.
All like I just forget like simple commands that I know, but like haven't used in a long time.
Yes.
And now I know that they recently also made it available in Linux for all the people who care for that. It's not on Windows machine yet. It was only on Mac OS and now
Okay.
it's on Linux, and
On
it's not
Linux.
on Windows.
Is that a weird jump to like we only offer Mac and Linux? Like it seems like a weird I don't know. Like
Yeah,
maybe
I
it
don't
was easier
know.
to make it for Linux. That's it. Okay.
I don't understand these things. I'm sure it's a hard problem to solve. That
Oh,
there's
Danny's totally used Warp. That's awesome. I need to check it out. I'm an Oh My ZSH person, and that's really the only flavoring I have to my terminal. So
yeah,
I'm
and then
willing.
you can have different background colors and customize it also kind of bit, which I like to do.
Excellent.
So
Excellent. I am actually, what time is it? I have to pick my friend up. Some of you may know Layla Porter from the .NET world, but she's flying in from London to stay with me for a few days. And then we're driving to KCDC to do a workshop in Kansas City. So that's my pick is KCDC. If you're in the area, come by and say hi to us or like hang out at the conference. We'd love to see you. But I'm very excited. I don't know what happened this year, but it's my first conference this year. And I love it. Like I love conferences, but I also love being at home. My home is so nice. So yes, I'm breaking out of my home shell and coming to the conference. So hopefully I can see some of you there. But
wonderful.
Oh, Nuno said probably because both Mac OS and Linux are Unix based. Okay.
That makes sense. Also, like I said earlier, software distribution is a hard problem to solve, I'm sure.
Indeed. Well, I think that's a wrap for the show. Thank you, chat. You are all so beautiful. And thank you, Anikta, for taking time today to share with us.
My pleasure. Yeah, absolutely.
I always enjoy getting to hang with you. And thank you, boys. You were beautiful panelists today. Mwah! I love you both. All right. Well, we'll see you all on the next one. I won't be here next week, but I think we have another guest lined up. So look in our upcoming streams for our secret next guest. But we'll see you all on the next one and have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.